Oh boy, your company's just asked you to accept an assignment in Japan. You've always wanted to go there, and here's your chance. Well, the opportunity is to assume an important position in the organization's location there. How can that go wrong? How exciting. Except they want you there in a month, and you know nothing about Japan's culture, its people, you don't speak the language, and you don't know about its business practices. Uh-oh. Human resource executives agree that international competition is now the number one challenge facing human resource management today. That means it affects business big time. There's a lot to consider and a lot to do to prepare for being an expatriate for your company. What do you suppose is the number one reason expatriates fail in their assignments? There are a lot of possibilities. Lack of knowledge of the culture, inability to speak the language, lack of knowledge of the employment laws in the host country. Which one? And the answer is none of the above, believe it or not. While all are important, the number one reason that expatriates fail is the spouse's feelings about the assignment. Does he or she have his or her own career? Does he or she want to live in that country that's being proposed for the assignment? What family or social situations need to be considered? Very important and sometimes overlooked. International assignees have said that there are 5 additional factors that are also very important. One is the overall family situation. What's the entire immediate family's flexibility and adaptability? Are there kids in school? What grade levels? How are you and your spouse's parents or other close relatives doing health-wise? What important social relationships does the family have? Even if you're single, some of these elements of your family situation certainly could come into play. What about job knowledge and motivation? How well do you know your own job and the one that you're going into? Do you know it well enough to be able to explain it and the company's goals to someone in a different culture? How are your relational skills? How are your interpersonal skills? Are you an extrovert or an introvert? How are you at new settings? Do you get along with people? Do you adapt quickly? Do you establish new relationships quickly? And something that's called what's extracultural openness. How accepting are you of other cultures? How willing are you to adapt and immerse yourself in a different culture? How are you at learning new languages? I studied 3 and I'm worthless in all of them. Of course, maybe if I'd have used them, but that's a different story. Have you experienced learning a new language? It can be tough. From your perspective, you need training, and we'll get to that in just a minute. But first, so some other factors that you need to consider as an expatriate and that hopefully your company is looking into. How about compensation? Economic conditions may be different in other countries. Some things to consider are your base salary. Given the economy and the cost of living in the host country, will your base salary be at least as much as what you're making now? Various exchange rates can make this fluctuate quite a bit. Taxes may be higher. Will your company consider this and equalize your take-home pay? What benefits are available in the host country? They could be different than what you have in the United States. Will the company ensure that you have at least the same level of benefits you do here? Will you have an equivalent health care plan to what you have? Do you contribute to a retirement plan in the U.S.? Or will you be contributing to one that's in the host country? Which one's better? What other allowances will the company provide? Will they provide to cover differences in your day-to-day expenses? Will they cover your housing? How about education for your kids to be in English-speaking schools? What about covering all the costs that are associated with the move? These are all important factors to consider. You should be able to enjoy at least the same lifestyle, same level of lifestyle that you have here in the United States. Oh yeah, and how about your spouse and kids if you have them? What arrangements are being made for housing? I mentioned schools earlier. How about schools for the kids who may just be learning the language themselves? Are there English-speaking schools that are available, and will the company pay for them to attend those? How about training for your spouse and the kids in the culture and the language? And what are the plans for when you come back home? You need to know what happens after your assignment. While that may be a while off, does the company have a plan to reacculturate you? 46% of returning expatriates have ended up with jobs that have had less autonomy and authority than they had before they left. 25%, that's a full 1/4, leave the company within a year after returning. What if you're doing great at the company now, but you blow the assignment? Will you be able to return to the same level job you had before? These are all things that you need to know. These are things that are important for when you do come back to the States. Now let's look at the training that you need and that you should insist on so that you have the best chance of success for yourself and for the company. As I said earlier, Some of this is necessary for your family members too, because they're heading into the new country just as you are. The company needs to work with you to create an appreciation of the host country's culture so you'll know how to behave appropriately and can correctly interpret actions and mannerisms of nationals. They should emphasize understanding our own culture and how it's perceived by the host nationals. They can help you to modify your actions to accentuate effective characteristics and minimize things that might be seen as dysfunctional or insulting to your hosts. Certainly, they want to ensure that you have a good understanding of the culture of that host country. Learn what's acceptable and what isn't. Learn to communicate accurately in the new culture. Ensure that you understand the economic situation there. They need to help you learn the laws of the host country, particularly those affecting employment, and understand that employment practices and customs are different in the host country, or likely are different. Companies should assign mentors to expatriates and give the employee a chance to talk to the person who's presently in the assignment, or if that's not feasible, to somebody who's in a similar situation. As to a plan when you return to help overcome what's referred to as reverse shock, they want to involve the extended family in the process. They need to establish mentor relationships back here in the States between expatriates and persons in the home location, and secure opportunities for the returning employee to use the knowledge and skills learned while on the assignment. I have a great case study that I use in another class for this subject. It's about a lucky fellow named Fred Bailey, no relation to George Bailey of It's a Wonderful Life. A lucky guy is tabbed to take over the company's office in Tokyo. The office is having problems, and if he turns it around, he'll become a partner. The kids are in middle school, and his wife is planning on returning to her career. Uh-oh. He needs to be there in 2 weeks. He sees this as a huge opportunity and likens it to an assignment that they had in San Francisco. Right. He goes there with the family despite his wife's objection, knowing nothing about the culture and unable to speak the language. He runs meetings like John Wayne, here's the way it's going to be, which basically alienates the employees and customers alike. The wife's miserable. She's ready to go home. Kids are okay in the English-speaking schools, though. So he sends an SOS to his boss and says, what should I do? This was actually a real-life situation that the case study was based on, and in that real-life situation, the boss corrected the problems by getting him and his family the training that they probably should have gotten in the first place, giving him some budgetary slack and some counseling. And the wise man, Fred, paid for his wife's sister to come and visit her on his dime. The wife had a great time showing her sister around. He managed to turn things around at the company, his wife became happy, and he became a partner with the firm. Accepting an assignment in another country is a great opportunity, but it's also a huge change for the employee. It's also a huge investment in you as an employee by the company. Consequently, it's imperative for both you and your organization that you receive proper training and support, and that you have all of your questions and concerns addressed before you accept the assignment. The company will want to ensure that you succeed and that they don't lose a good employee at the end of the assignment when you may return with valuable new ideas for your organization.